Welcome back to the GP Productions podcast. Okay, welcome back to the show, and I've got a special guest on the show today, all the way from Pennsylvania in the good old US of A. This is a man that's been on a great musical journey all his life, and we're going to discuss it here today. It's Mr. Gordon Titsworth from Images of Eden. How are you doing today, man?
Oh, doing great. How you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. Apart from trying to figure out these time zones, and our clocks went back the other day. And you see, I had scheduled this interview maybe about a month ago. But then I checked the times today, because sometimes I just check the times in America to make sure that they're still, because normally I record at 5 o'clock your guys' time, which is 10 o'clock my time.
Right.
But I figured out that 10 o'clock my time. No, I figured out that 5 o'clock your time today was 9 o'clock my time, and I was still in work, so I had to kind of juggle around that. But here we are.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, man, look, tell us a little bit about yourself and the band, and just about your own personal journey and how did you become involved in the music world.
I've always wanted to be a musician ever since I was a kid. I mean, I was like 5 or 6 years old listening to my uncle's albums, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, Aerosmith, the whole nine yards, Jimi Hendrix. And I've always loved music, and then got into Kiss, and then later on Iron Maiden, and the regular journey that you take. I've always wanted to do this, even when I was like 6 or 7 years old, but I never really got a chance to actually pick up a guitar until I was 13. Started learning guitar. Then after that, I started learning the other instruments, bass, a little bit of drums, and then at the time we could never find a singer for our band, so we auditioned probably about 10 people at the time. Nobody could do what they wanted. So I just figured, well, at the time, let me see if I've got any kind of voice at all. And it was a little rough to start off, but I just kind of ran with that. And, long story short, been in and out of bands for many years, cover bands, original bands. But started Images of Eden actually after getting out of a band in 1998. That's when I knew, look, I've got a very specific vision. I've got a lot of songs recorded. A friend of mine went in and played studio drums for me. I did everything else, used that to actually form the first lineup of the band, which we recorded our second album, Sunlight of the Spirit, in 2006. There've been a lot of member changes over the years, but around 2016, we sort of reformed, rebranded. We started off as more of like a progressive metal band, longer songs, more roller coaster twists and turns. But right around 2014, 2015, I just lost interest. I wanted to beef it up and make it a little heavier and chunkier. And that's kind of the direction we went. And we reformed with some amazing musicians. And right at that time, we hooked up with our producer, Bill Matoyer, who actually got us signed. And, you know how it is, that first, it starts a slow ramp up. And then all of a sudden when something happens, it's like, okay, here we go. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what happened in 2016. So since then, we've got 2 albums and an EP under our belt. We've charted radio, and we've been on 3 major tours. So it's worth every ounce of weight and everything I've ever put in. We just got off tour now, and I'm still up here. I got home on Monday. It's Thursday. My head's still not right. I mean, it was an amazing tour with Michael Schenker, 25 shows.
Wow.
It was next level. I look at the first 11 shows. First 7 out of the first 11 were sold out. And to come out and to play sold out shows right out of the gate is you're starting up here. So it was definitely the best tour yet, and I think we're all still trying to get back to real life.
Come back down to earth. I want to
It's
talk.
not that easy.
Yeah,
It's not that easy. People say,
yeah,
"Oh, you're home now, you can relax." No, I mean, when you have the pedal mashed for like 40 days and every night it's raging loud music, when you come home, it's still and it's quiet and it's a culture shock. It really is.
yeah. But
uh,
here you are. You're still continuing on. You're promoting the band here today.
oh
But you
yeah.
said something. You said something there that's kind of hit home with me. I'm going to see a band on Tuesday that you probably know from over there. Fozzy is their name. Chris Jericho is the lead singer of the band over there. Okay, so I'm going to see the guys on Tuesday. And when I'm listening to interviews, and I've interviewed a few of those guys, they talk to me about the importance of radio now in America because it's a lot more easier for to get kind of rock music on the airwaves over in America than it is, would say, here in Europe. It's kind of unheard of. So, how important has radio play been for your band?
It's definitely important, and I think it helps. It's harder to get in certain like mainstream radio stations, but you
Yeah.
kind of have to kind of find your way in. And we're doing pretty well. And yeah, we've charted. I think Angel Born topped out at numbers 19, I think, in U.S. metal radio. And right now we're right in the middle of our charting for Weathered and Torn. So we've got to think about 3 more weeks to see how that's going to go. But yeah, it's definitely important. It's funny that you mentioned Fozzy because PJ Farley was actually the bass player of Eric Martin, who was the second band. We went on first in Eric Martin's band and then Michael Schenker. So
Okay.
yeah. So PJ and I, yeah, we got to know each other. Good, a great guy. But
Yeah, I've
small
had him
world.
twice. I've had him twice on my show. Trickster, is that his band? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trickster.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It is a small world. I'll be seeing him on Tuesday because I think I'm actually doing a bit of work at the gig on Tuesday, which
oh, nice.
it wasn't in the plan. The plan was to have beers. Now I got a call from somebody and they were like, "Oh, we kind of might need you to do a bit of work," and I was like, "Okay," but I'm still going to have a couple of beers anyway and enjoy it.
Exactly. I'll say you can
Yeah,
combine that, right?
yeah, yeah. Us Irish people, we find a way. We find a way to
Yes.
always have a few drinks in there. Um, you talked about members of the band, and first of all, just if you want to call out the names of the guys that are in your band, and then secondly, how important is it to find that formation where everyone goes through it in bands? You can't hold on to a drummer. This bassist doesn't work. Everyone has to be on the same wavelength. Like, how important is that for you with this project?
It's important. Yeah, it took. There have been 22 members of this band over the years because of every reason you can imagine. I'm sure
Yeah,
anything from addictions to they talked a good game, but they couldn't back it up, to Yokos. We know that what that means, and just unreliable, and really anywhere in between. But finally, I mean, I think it was 2016 we got this lineup, which was myself, lead vocals. I play rhythm guitar on the album, but our lead guitarist is phenomenal, Carlos Urquidy. Steve Dorsum, drums. He and I are kind of partnered up around 2016, right after we did an album together. Separate band called Born of Fire. We worked so well together. I introduced him to Images. He said, "I'm there." Eric Mulvane on bass and Dean Harris on keyboards. Um, this lineup is amazing. I mean, we're all on the same page. Yeah, it took a long time to get 5 of us that see eye to eye. That there's there are no egos, there's no issues, and it's that's very unusual. There's always that one person, that
yeah,
which is why there've been 22 members in the band over the years. But no, it's really great. And I mean, the one thing each I don't, this isn't really good or bad, but the sound of each album has changed because of that.
evolved,
Yeah,
evolved.
so you can definitely hear an evolution. But I think right now we're to the point to where we're at a really good place. I think we've hit a place where we found our sound, but I'm never satisfied with wherever we are. No matter how much I like the album, I say, well, we have to evolve even more. If you're not trying to be better, then you're just going to be the same at best.
Mhm.
I feel like you always need to say, what did we do? How can we make it better? What can I do to improve my craft? What can I do to to grab them a little more. So yeah, it's always, I think you should always be fine tuning as a band, as a songwriter, always be coachable, always look to improve your craft, and always look to improve the overall sound. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And how much of your momentum was it tracked by the pandemic? Like, did it really set you guys back, or where were you as a band then compared to where you are now?
It actually did a lot of good things for us because everybody was on a level playing field. Nobody could do anything. So a lot of bands said, well, I guess we're going to sit on the couch until this is done. We were actually filming a video for a song called Autumn is Burning off of the Angel Born album the weekend that everything was shutting down here in the States. I'm sitting in the desert, they're filming, and we're getting a text from back home saying they're shutting down restaurants, they're shutting down this and this. And I'm thinking, what? Because the video that we were shooting was about martial law and lockdowns and shutdowns. So it was really kind of
Jeez.
creepy. Yeah, and we didn't even plan that. So we got home, and at the time, we were recording our Angel Born album. So we had a lot of time in the studio. We could just take as much time we need to get it right. At the same time, we sent the first video edit to our label of this song, Autumn is Burning, and they're saying, wait a minute, this is so relevant to exactly what's happening now. You've got to release this as a single. Okay, great. We got it out there as a single, started the buzz a little bit. Now we're recording our Angel Born album. That fall, we shot another video. I think it came down to, and we put a lyric video. We had 4 videos for that album. We had everything ready to go. We were finished mixing it and mastering it so that when things were letting up, here we go. We've got several videos to drop. We've got an album to drop, and we're ready to keep going. So it really did good things for us, I think. I mean, it wasn't a good time just because I don't care what side of the fence you're on as far as whether you believed what the media was telling us or not. I didn't, but it
No, neither
affected
do I.
everybody. Yeah, I didn't believe what they're selling. So I'll leave it at that. I think we're on the same page, though.
Yeah, yeah,
But I mean, even if, I mean, we've all lost people.
yeah,
I mean, and just even the lockdowns here in the States, I mean, it ruined people's livelihoods and for no good reason.
yeah.
I'll
The
leave it at
spin-off.
that. Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, the one good, I mean, after we finished Angel Born, that was already written. So we did our EP, Weathered and Torn, that came out last month. That was sort of our reaction to COVID and what we were all put through. I call it the compliance and control test. A lot of us were just raging angry because of what we were put through. And we were basically saying, I mean, we're a very uplifting band, and we always put a positive message out there. But this time it was like, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to feel betrayed. I think we all did, or most of us did. I know I did. I had a hard time. I mean, my needle was in the red for most of COVID. I was just ready to pop because
Yeah,
I'm thinking we're having our entire world disrupted, our entire lives shut down for no good reason. And what I believe and what many of us believe was a bunch of lies.
yeah.
So,
The
yeah.
music, we're not going to harp on this for much longer, but the music industry was absolutely treated atrociously in this country anyway. In America, it was, you see, you guys, I can never really follow you guys in America because you're different states, you're different laws, like, and everything is different everywhere. But I think in general, the music everywhere was really hit badly anyway.
It was definitely here too. A lot of tours were canceled, and as a matter of fact, we were looking to release our Angel Born album a little bit earlier than March of 2021. But
Yeah,
our distributor Sony, which was our North American distributor, they weren't. I guess there was a blackout period of where they weren't scheduling releases, so we had to kind of wait for that to lift. And then as soon as it lifted, and we knew everything was going to kind of sort of come back, then we started making plans, and it actually worked out really well. We got the album released, and then we went on a full U.S. tour to promote it. So actually, we did a Texas run, which Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, and then we had the full tour last fall. So it all worked out. I mean, it really, at the end of the day, as much as I was irritated about it or complained about it or whatever, in the end, I couldn't have asked for anything more. I mean, everything opened back up, and we had a great tour. And this year has just been insanely busy. I'm still trying to
I've got a little clip here from your latest music video, and I'm going to stick it up here now. Normally,
Sure.
like when I play these clips, for some reason, when the audio plays back in the interview, it sounds like shit. So I've done it a different way this time. So it will sound good now, but hopefully it will sound good on playback as well.
All right.
Let's go. Let's go. Turn it down a little bit. It's pretty loud.
Break the cycle.
There's a lot going on there, isn't there? That's
Oh,
Count to
yes.
Zero off the new EP. Like what? Like there's a lot of like. What would you? Is it a mix of all your influences at this point in the band, or is it just solely your vision?
This the cool thing is from the music. This was I mean I write pretty much everything. I demo out the drums, demo out the guitar. You know, kind of create a shell for everybody, so they say, okay, we kind of see how everything. We know the arrangements of the song and we know how it's going. Then everybody puts their fingerprint on it and then lays down their tracks. When it comes to the video, we had a couple of songs to choose from, but this just seemed to be the right one because this song was about. We always try to say, well, someday I'm going to get to that, or someday I'm going to make that happen. We're like, if we've learned anything in the past 3 years with COVID and everything, nothing is promised. Time is not promised. I know we've all lost people at some point. We can't say, well, someday I'm going to do this. Do it today. You might not have tomorrow. Seize the day now. Make it happen now. I mean, people say, well, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to save up all this money for when I retire. Then I'm going to relax, or then I'm going to do things. Well, you might not. You might get hit by a bus, or you might have a heart attack. You don't know. You have to seize the day along the way because you just don't know. And that's what that song's about. It actually is based on me kicking an addiction 25 years ago, which I barely lived through. So that was the day where I changed everything and said, I can't live like this anymore. I've got to change everything. I've got to do the right thing. I've got to be productive. And as soon as I took all that energy and focused it on something positive, all this started happening. So what I'm saying is you can be at the bottom and change and live your best life, but you have to have the courage to take that step. It can be scary sometimes, but you have to do it. And Steve Dorsum, our drummer, he was actually an actor and a director in his hometown, and we actually fly out to Phoenix, Arizona, which is where he lives, and which is sort of home base. And he brings in a Hollywood film crew to shoot our videos. So I mean, we have access to top notch filmmaking, and it's just really amazing. And he directs everything, and he kind of coordinates all the different scenes. But we do kind of combine our thoughts when it comes to, what's the storyline going to be about. We've done several videos where it's rich. I love doing videos because we're like, okay, here's a great song. We know what song it's going to be. What's this going to be about? And then I'm like, well, I have an idea. Let me shoot it over to you. And then he'll go, oh yeah, I like that. Or vice versa. So we kind of put our heads together and put the ideas together. And then when it comes time to shoot, he's got everything laid out, and shooting videos is a lot of fun. I never thought it would be as much fun as recording, but when you're actually playing the actor in the B-roll and you get to do stuff like when Autumn is Burning, him crawling through the desert and doing all kinds of stuff, it's just a lot of fun.
That's the joy of, suppose, having someone has their toes dipped in that industry as well. That's a kind of experience there. But on top of, we'll say, the filmmaking experience, the actual quality of the latest EP is immense. Where did you guys record it?
We actually recorded it in our own hometown. You're going to love this. So I live in York, Pennsylvania, on the East Coast of the United States. The keyboard player lives about an hour south in Baltimore, Maryland. The bass player lives in Michigan, which is about northern, like the sort of central and northern. Then you've got Phoenix, which is almost on the West Coast. And our guitar player lives in Juarez, Mexico. So we're split up everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, well, how do you guys do it? Okay, well, it's easy because we all have, recording capabilities at our house. So we all record our own parts. And then I mixed this one. So I took all the tracks and I
Great
mixed it.
job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I send it. Bill Matoyer is our producer who mixed our last two albums, Angel Born and Soul Rise, but he just mastered this one. So I just mixed everything, sent him the files. He mastered it. So yeah, that's how we do it. And people say, well, how do you rehearse? It's easy. I go into my studio and we mute our parts and then play along. And then when it comes time to tour, we get to Phoenix. We just we rehearse for a couple days, get all the parts tight, then hit the road. So everybody should have done all their homework and be ready to go when it's time to hit the button.
That's crazy. It's mad what you can do these days, isn't it? From across the world or across different parts of the same country, even like just virtually.
I thought it was funny in the late 80s because one of my favorite bands, Fates Warning, they're based out of Connecticut. The singer lived in Texas and the drummer lived in California. And that was before internet. And I thought, well, how do you do that before internet? You're mailing demo tapes back and forth. After the internet, it's kind of easy to do. You can get on Skype, you can get on Zoom, you can shoot files back and forth. Somebody can record their parts and send you the files and you can mix it. But yeah, I mean, the luxury of having the ability to do that now is really cool where we didn't have that many years ago.
Yeah. And what's the plan for you guys for the rest of the year then? Are you finished touring now? Are you going to do a few before Christmas and into next year? Like what's the kind of, I'm sure like an organized man like you has a kind of a
yeah,
plan, a structure.
It's funny. I rewind to January after we got off our last tour for Angel Born and Steve, the drummer, and I, we were talking to, let's talk to the label and see what the game plan is this year. And we had a thought and they had a thought, but the thought was, okay, what we landed on after our discussion is do this EP, get it out there, get on tour. And it was perfect because the day that I turned the EP in was the last day that I could turn it in for a September 16th release. And then we were going on tour a week later. It worked out perfectly. So we've literally been nonstop, just, the gas pedal mashed to the ground. It's been nonstop up until Monday when I got home. And really, it's like I don't know what to do with myself. I'm still trying to come back to normal from tour. And but that being said, this month is going to be just let some dust settle, time with family and all, because it's been a long year. And then in a couple of weeks, and I'll know when the time's right because I can't turn it off. It always goes. So new material is going to come up, and I'm just going to start laying down some ideas. And we're just going to see what opportunities are presenting themselves for next year. And so I think, we're just going to kind of feel things out throughout the rest of the year, work on some new material. And, by around late December, we'll have a bit of a game plan and we'll probably, see what happens. We'll probably make some plans at that point. I know after a big tour like this, it's almost like you kind of have to let the dust settle. So many things happened that I know there could be some opportunities possibly. Excellent. So I think it's just trying to come back to normal after the tour is the hardest thing.
Yeah. And look, if people want to find your band, Gordon, where's the best place and what's your kind of social media handles, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you, the best thing to do, we're on all social media. We're pretty much everywhere. But if you go to www.imagesofeden.com, it's got a one-stop shop. It links to all of our social media, our online store, all of our videos, lyrics, reviews, everything you could imagine, just one-stop shop. We make sure we take a lot of time to keep that updated and give you a nice little haystack to sift through. So yeah, that's going to be the one-stop shop, and just it'll take you anywhere.
Yeah. Gordon, it was a pleasure to talk to you today, man. And look, I think we'll be talking again at some point, hopefully next year, and we'll see what you guys are up to.
Well, Maurice, I appreciate your time today, and I absolutely would love to talk to you again. And one thing I always say, I love our press people because I always make sure I thank you guys, because whether you're doing an interview, whether you're doing a review, whether you are radio and you're playing our material, you are helping us get out there. So you are our natural allies, and we can never really thank you enough, man. So thank you for all that you do and the coverage that you give us, and really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, listen, you can pay me back in Ireland, and I'll get you a beer then.
There you go, man.
Thanks very much, man.
You got it. Take care.